Hi, folks. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have Lisa Pizzuto, a member of the management team at Fluid Mechanics, and Leslie Lucas from College Swimming Consulting. Thank you guys so much for joining us. My name's John Waldman, and I'm the president of Fluid Mechanics, and we have two great resources here, and we're going to be talking about the impacts of social media postings and how they relate to your ability to get into college and swim for a college. Thank you guys again for joining us. Leslie, I'm going to start with you today. Tell me a little bit about what you see from a standpoint of impacts of social media postings for the swimmers. You help swimmers get to college, right? And you give them a list of the colleges that fit their specifications and their capabilities, right? And you help all of our swimmers get into the colleges they're looking for. Let me ask you, what happens with their social media postings?
Well, social media is great in a lot of ways, but it can also be a little bit dangerous if it's not used properly by the recruits. I always encourage kids to be on social media, just to be careful about not only what they're posting, but also what they're liking and what accounts they're following, because the coaches are checking up. This is a great way for them to get to know recruits and get to know what kind of character they're looking at. So if it doesn't pass the grandma test, if it's something that grandma would raise her eyebrows at, then it's probably best to steer clear of it. The other thing that's becoming more and more is that social media is really becoming a recruiting tool for the colleges. So they can't technically contact recruits until June after their sophomore year, but if they're interested in a recruit, they can show interest by following the swimmer on social media. So it's also a great way for the recruits to get to know the program. So if you follow a program that you like, you can kind of get a feel for what kind of team chemistry is going on at that college.
Okay, we're going to switch over to Lisa. Lisa, coming from the college coach, you've been a college coach for 23 years before you came to work with Fluid Mechanics full time. Tell us about, from the college standpoint, what are the coaches looking at?
I know for myself, and I'm sure for every other coach out there, you don't want a problem child. And so team cohesiveness is so important. And so, if you see people on social media, really being, having a swirl of drama around them, this is probably not somebody you want on your team, because quite frankly, they're going to bring that to you in the coming 4 years that you have them on the team. I know as a coach, a lot of times I wouldn't even have to be the one looking on their social media. The other athletes, were actually doing that for it. I mean, I had swimmers come to me sometimes and be like, listen, we don't want this person. Okay, why not? And then they would tell me, right, okay, moving on to the next person on the depth chart. And that didn't have anything to do with swimming. That had everything to do with what kind of teammate they were going to be when they actually got to college. And so it's important. And so as a coach, that's truly important. You have to be really responsible with your social media. And as Leslie was saying, it's important to be active on social media, because that's how these coaches are contacting, recruits in this day and age. That's how they do it. But you got to be responsible with what you're posting and what you're liking. Really important. From the Fluid Mechanics perspective, now that I switched hats, even as a person who does most of the hiring and employing, I'm amazed at what people have on their social media. And so one of the first things I do is a Google search, and I look that up. And, it's important if you want to, get employed or go to college, it's important to be careful what you're putting out there, because it never really goes away, as they say.
So it's something to learn early. Is that right? So that you want, right? You have something that faces other people in social media, and it's used in whether it's hiring, whether it's going to college, and used to see generally what it is that you're doing and how you're acting. Again, you always want harmony in any organization. So by looking at that, you can tell if they kind of would fit a little bit or not so much. So back to the grandma test, Leslie, if grandma's okay with it, it's probably going to be okay with everybody.
Right.
But if it's not good with grandma, that's a great person to test, right? Then you shouldn't probably do that, because like Lisa's saying here, it's going to stay there, right? And it's going to be all over the place, and it's going to be shared and things like that possibly. And people are going to see that, and it impacts what you do and where you go. I remember we had a swimmer on our team in Indiana that was they caused all kinds of havoc, and that caused problems, and people eventually didn't want him on the team. But back then you didn't have social media to tell in advance. As soon as we got him, boy, everybody could tell right away that guy's not going to fit well.
And with social media, it's even worse. So
Right.
it just makes everything exponentially worse when you have somebody like that in the program. And so but social media also gives you a preview, so if you're coming up and you're in 8th, 9th, 10th grade, be careful what you're doing. And don't do it.
If you're a coach watching this or a parent watching this, show it to your child, show it to your swimmers, and share it everywhere, because the swimmers need to know this, and they're not being taught well enough, and it's coming up and it's impacting them. They need to know that what they do online impacts their future career. No matter how fast a swimmer you are, no matter how good grades you have, this is a big impact. Thank you for coming, and thank you guys so much for sharing your expertise.
If you would like more information about college swimming consulting, please click the link below to get in touch with Leslie Lucas, who will personalize your recruiting experience for you and help you find the school for you.